Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of Porsha Family Matters, Season 1, Episode 7. Woo, woo. Let's get into it, okay? Let me just say this. Pilar is the sweetest little baby ever. She is so cute. She's so cute, right? And, with Pilar and her surgery, it really is an example of how Portia and Dennis, they need to figure it out. They need to come together, right? They can't just be arguing all the time and carrying on because they have a daughter and their daughter needs both of them. And for their daughter to have both of them, they have to get along on some level. You know what I mean? They don't need to be BFFs, but they need to be respectful. They definitely don't need to be cursing each other out and fighting. They really don't. But let's just get into it, right? So, we're going to start with Porsha and Londie, right? Like, Porsha has done a lot of things, right? She has done a lot of things. And I don't know, Porsha, I guess to some, because I know a lot of people don't like her, but I'll say for me, in my opinion, despite everything that Porsha has done, Porsha has always remained somewhat likable. You know what I mean? And maybe part of the reason why she has remained so likable to me was because, I only got to see a snippet of her when it came to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? We get a brief little moment. And yes, there was some drama, some incidents with her and Candy. Yes, I remember. But for the most part, the role that Portia would play on Real Housewives of Atlanta was like the fun, bubbly girl dancing around, right? And with an ensemble cast, right, you have so many different characters. And maybe Kenya's villainousness outshined Portia's and Nene, and you have all these big personalities that are complex. So I don't know. But watching Portia Families Matters and seeing Portia, I don't know, she's not as likable to me anymore. And this scene with Londie, it may have been the worst I've seen Portia. I know that may be unpopular opinion. Other people like, really, this is the worst you've seen Portia? There's plenty of other examples of her being terrible. Like, look at last week's episode. I know, but this scene, I think I'm not done with Portia. That's a bit dramatic, but I'm really over her. I really am. Like, first off, so Londie approaches Portia, right? Because Londie says that Dennis said that Portia said to fire her, right? I guess Londie was working with Dennis. And maybe, I don't know if this is true. I don't know, right? I said last week that maybe the reason why Portia seems petty, right? And maybe because Portia wasn't with Dennis anymore, she didn't want any of her family members working with him. That's what I feel like it was, right? And even Dennis was telling Londie that, Portia treats you like crap. And Lauren, which is the assistant, and Dom were like, well, yeah. You know what I mean? They were kind of agreeing. So Londie was confronting Portia with that. And Portia's response was to be like, well, I don't remember. I don't remember that. And then Portia all of a sudden was like, well, if Dennis is telling you this, it sounds like you're believing him. It sounds like you're feeding into him, right? If it was me, I would side with my family, right? Kind of, sort of going in on her, right? But the thing is, when Londie asked her if she did this, she says, I don't remember. She didn't say no, right? So you're getting mad at her for believing Dennis, but then you're not, you're saying, I don't know. You're not saying, no, you didn't say that. How do you not know Or how do you not remember? Right? Like, it's not like, oh, what were you wearing last Tuesday? When you say, well, I don't know what I was wearing last Tuesday, that would be one thing. I think you would remember if you requested your cousin to be fired. I don't know. I think that's not something you should be up in the air about. That's something you should be very, very clear. Like, if I confronted somebody about something like that and they're like, I don't know, for some reason, I'm going to take that as a yes, you did, but you don't want to own up to it, right? Because, like I said, it may be petty, but it's sort of understandable, right? If you're like, well, me and Dennis weren't good, and I didn't feel comfortable with you working with him. I know it was immature, da 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 da, right? If she had said that, yeah, she would still be hella wrong because she should have came to Londie if that was the case. But at least you're being honest, and then you can go from there, right? But Porsha never owns up to anything at all, right? And then later on, we find out that Dennis apologized for the incident last week's episode, but Porsha didn't apologize, right? And I'm not saying Dennis is innocent, because I don't think Dennis is innocent at all. But Porsha sure as hell isn't innocent her damn self, right? She should have apologized. She never takes accountability. And this is now like, Dennis is saying this, Londie is saying this. I feel like Lauren, her sister, in one way or another said this. Like, multiple people are saying this about Porsha. Us, the audience, we're experiencing this. So it's just getting to the point now where I don't know what's wrong with Porsha, right? And then, so Londie was just confronting her because she feels like, well, you treat me different. I don't feel as close to you. And then Porsha gets upset and she snaps and she removes herself from the table and she starts yelling at the producers, oh, I'm sick and tired of everybody saying I'm not close to them and da, da, da. It's like, first of all, who said that they weren't, like, this is the first scene that we're getting in which a family member said, oh, I don't feel like we're as close. Am I wrong? Did we get another scene earlier on? I don't remember, right? Like, because to be honest, so far, it's been everybody kissing Porsha's butt. Okay, maybe except Dennis and Gina. Let's just be real, right? So this is the first time. This is maybe like what? Yeah, the first time we have a family member coming to her with these grievances. So what is she talking about? Oh, I'm sick and tired of everybody. Like, huh? No one said it. Like, so she's carrying on, and then Londie is like, Londie breaks down crying because she feels like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said anything, right? Because when Porsha gets upset, Porsha can be very emotional. And when she gets emotional, and like, here we go again, right? So Londie starts crying, understandably, because she's like, oh no, now I've created this big ass mess, which is completely unfair, right? Like, on one hand, I definitely understand that, yeah, sometimes you get upset, sometimes you get frustrated, but this is a pattern now. And Portia's not really creating a safe environment for her family, especially when you're filming a reality television show. You know what I mean? And yeah, you're going to have scenes. You're going to have tough conversations. And Portia's not creating a safe environment for her family to be honest with her. Londie didn't come into the scene yelling. Londie didn't come into the scene being disrespectful. She was just being honest about how she felt, and Porsha snapped. And now, like, Londie's probably sitting there feeling guilty, like, oh, this is Porsha's show. She invites me on, and then I bring this up, and now she's gonna think that I'm against her, and da 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 da. So Porsha comes back to the scene now. And she sees Londie crying, and she has the arms around her and is like, look, I love you. We're together. We're going to spend more time, blah, blah, blah. Porsha is comforting her and everything. right? And then but the thing is, Portia's lying, because in that scene Portia's like, I'm not upset, I'm not mad at you, I'm not mad at you, when it's like literally 2 seconds before we have Porsha yelling at the top of her lungs saying, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of my family, la 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 la, right? It's not her, it's not like Porsha broke down and cried herself, or she kind of said, oh, you know what, I'm frustrated with all this family drama, I don't like this, I don't like how we're looking, da 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 da. That would be one thing, right? Because I can understand after Mexico, after that whole brawl, maybe you kind of like, I don't want my family to look like this, right? Which fine, I can understand that. But that's not what happened. She's yelling and screaming. She was very much upset, right? But then when you come to Londie, you're lying in her face saying, I'm not mad, I'm not mad, right? And it's like, on the surface, it looks like she's comforting Londie. But to me, it's more like she's gaslighting Londie. You know what I mean? She's gaslighting her, right? Because Londie is reacting to Portia's emotional outburst, right? And then Portia wants to come back and say, well, stop crying because I'm not upset. You know, to kind of make her look crazy, like she's crying for nothing or she's upset for nothing. No, Londie, and that's the thing, Portia, like, if you're upset, then you might as well just be real and tell Londie, look, I'm upset because you're saying that we don't spend time together, and that's not true. You know, da 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 da. And like, just have the real conversation in a respectful way. Just have the conversation. Why are you lying and carrying on? And then Portia, oh my God, I forgot this part, right? When Londie's saying, oh, you know, I feel like you don't treat me well and we don't spend a lot of time together. I feel like I'm on the outside. Porsha goes and reference something from 8 years ago with her and Cordell, and it was like, well, you weren't there for me when I was going through an abusive relationship. And oh my God, let me not, okay, look, I'm not mocking that, right? That must have been a very, very difficult time for Portia going through that divorce with Cordell. I definitely think Cordell was emotionally abusive to her, right? Like, from what I saw from the show with my own eyes, right? And this is what we saw on camera. So imagine what went on behind the scenes. And I'm sorry, Portia doesn't have the best track record when it comes to guys. So there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, Cordell, there's something going on with him and he didn't treat her the best, right? So I get that. But there is an age difference between Porsha and Londie. I don't know the exact age difference, but Londie said that she was in college at the time. And people usually, I mean, you can go to college at any point in time, right? But if there is an age difference and Londie is in college, I'm going to assume at the latest, I'm going to give her, she must have been 21, 22, right? At that time, I believe Porsha was in her late 20s and early 30s, right when she was going through that divorce with Cordell. I feel like it's pretty unfair for you to expect Londie, someone that is, you know, a great deal younger than you, who is in college, to really be there for you as, I mean, yes, technically Londie would have been an adult, but still, right? I think it's an unfair expectation to expect Londie to be by your side when you're a grown but woman, okay? In a marriage and she's in college. Like, okay, sure. Would it have been nice if you had her support? Sure, but there's a maturity level difference. There's a life experience of a difference. Like, that's more of like that's not even like a little sister kind of experience. That's more of like a niece, right? Like, Londie is more of a niece to Porsha, if anything. I don't know why you would seek support in Londie. at that point. That's like, that's like seeking a support in a 10-year-old. Okay, I mean, Londie wasn't 10, but she might as well have been 10 years old, right? That's how I see it. That's like a little kid. Why would you expect her to really be there for you in that moment, right? And, it's not, if it would be one thing if that was her peer, you know what I mean? Or if they were around the same age, okay? I would more so, okay, maybe Lauren would be there for her. Even though I'm not quite sure how old Lauren is, right? But I'm assuming maybe, I do think there is a significant age gap, right? But still, and that was 8 years ago. So if anything, you're gonna find, if that's a big ass stretch, if you're gonna be mad at her for that, right? But that was 8 years ago. And since then, you've made her your assistant, right? So it's not like you're like, I'm never talking to you again, and you guys weren't talking for 8 years. You guys have moved past it. So why are you bringing it up now? It just seems like, it seems tit for tat. It seems like, okay, she's gonna bring up something that's gonna make me look bad. She's calling me out. Oh, yeah? Well, you weren't there for me 8 years ago, even though you were in college and I was a grown ass woman. Like, and that's when I was over Porsha. That was when I was over Porsha, because that is just so manipulative. You get what I'm trying to say. That is just completely shady. Right? Like, and I've been seeing it more and more and more and more of Porsha. And I mean, I'm not surprised she's been doing this. And I can understand why Kenya, I can kind of understand a little bit more why Kenya just can't stand Porsha. Because she does stuff. And listen, I don't think Porsha does pretty bad stuff. Let's just be real. But when it comes to these reality television ladies, I don't think what Porsha does is like the worst of the worst. At least it's on par with the other ladies. But the thing about Porsha, which makes her so annoying, right? Or maybe even worse, is that she never, ever, ever takes accountability. She is always the victim. Always the victim in every situation. And it's like, you're going to treat your own family like, damn, because then it creates this situation. And Londie said it in her confessional, I should have never brought it up. I should have just swept things under the rug. It's safer to do so. And that's not healthy, right? Like, how can you have a relationship with someone in which you can never really be honest? If you have an issue with them, you can never bring it up, because if you do, they're going to explode, right? And nobody wants to deal with that. No one wants to deal with that. So it's like, okay. And then I feel like it's exacerbated because Porsha's famous. Porsha has the money, right? And because she has all these things, I mean, she provides great resources to the rest of the family, right? She does. So to kind of be on her bad side, I mean, listen, money and stuff, it's not bad, but it does influence people, right? And if you're against Porsha, you may find yourself against everybody, right? Because she holds a lot of the power. So it's a sucky situation. It is. I hope that, I don't think it's happening, but I hope that maybe Porsha is watching herself. She's watching the show back and she's seeing how she has been acting, and she's like, you know what? I need to work on that. Let me go to therapy. Right? I think that if there is a second season, discussions need to be had, right? Because I don't know how the show is going to work based on her family and everything, if it's the kind of situation where the show can only work if everybody's kissing her butt. And I don't want to see a show where everybody is kissing Porsha's butt. Nor do I want to see a show where everybody's coming for Porsha either, right? I just want to see a show where, they can be authentic as they can be, right? Obviously, we're not going to see all of the business, nor do I want to see all of their business. But I want to feel like everybody can be authentically themselves with, of course, healthy boundaries. You know what I mean? So, moving on. So, Aunt Liz, Aunt Liz is growing on me. I do like her. And she is trying to, I don't know what she's trying to do, to be honest, but I think I know what she's trying to do. Um, she's trying to reach out to Dennis. I guess she's trying to build a relationship with him. She saw how things went down last episode and she knows that they definitely need healing, right? Because at the end of the day, it is about Pilar, right? So Porsha and Dennis do need to be at a good place. Plus, I think she doesn't want Dennis and Miss Gina to feel like Porsha's family don't like them, right? Or it's like a us versus them thing. Because, and Dennis brought this up in his confessionals that Pilar's gonna have, birthdays, there's Christmases, there's gonna be graduation, there are gonna be events in her life that they're gonna have to all come together as a family. So yeah, I guess that's what Aunt Liz is trying to build with him. And she is trying to encourage him, right? She's trying to more so be positive, not really calling out all his flaws, right? Speaking positive and good things into him. Like, like when she saw him with Pilar in the hospital when they FaceTime, she's like, "You're a good black father." Oh my gosh. Like, okay, positive reinforcement, sure. Okay. I don't think that could hurt, right? That definitely couldn't hurt. So it is what it is with that. Um y- the one thing I don't like that Miss Liz does or Aunt Liz does is kind of put down Miss Diane's side of the family. Now, I've heard gossip here and there, right? Obviously, I do not know the complete tea of everything, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit hypocritical, right? If you want to kind of, I don't know. It's like kind of weird. You want to bring Dennis and Porsha together, but then you're kind of separating yourself from Porsha's mom's side of family at the end of the day, like I said, I don't know the tea. I don't know. Obviously, it's their family. Maybe they've done something to her personally for her to feel some type of way. I mean, I don't know, because now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about Storm's mom and her theatrics, right? And I'm like, you know what? If you had to deal with that, I guess you would feel that way too. But I don't think it's a good look to speak negatively on them. You know what I mean? It is what it is on television. I just don't think it's a good look. But if that's how she feels, that's how she feels. So you know what? I'm gonna take that back because I just remember Storm's mom. I just remember Storm's mom, and never mind, Aunt Liz. Maybe half a point. So congratulations to Aunt Liz and opening the Hosea Helps, the food bank. Good for her. Good for the community and everything, right? So she has an opening event, right? And she invites everybody. Porsha couldn't make it because unfortunately Pilar wasn't eating, right? And she became dehydrated. But thank the Lord, she eventually started eating. So Pilar is healthy and everything is good with her. Amen, right? So because Porsha couldn't go, I guess she sent Simon instead, right? And Simon is talking to Aunt Liz. And basically, he pretty much said that they need to start treating Porsha better because she's the granddaughter of Hosea Williams. And Aunt Liz is like, huh? And like this is the problem. Like I feel like this like Porsha already has an ego. Porsha is already stubborn. Porsha is already kind of arrogant. And Simon is probably up there like filling her ears with like, yeah, they don't respect you. They don't do this. They don't do that. Da, 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 da. So what's going to happen now is Portia is going to feel more validated in her bad behavior, right? It's going to be a lot easier for her to not take accountability because there's someone in her ear kind of kissing her butt saying that everything she does is right, not holding her accountable for anything. And, I don't know, maybe Simon could really love her. But I'm sorry, I feel like, he has ulterior motives. And he kind of likes the spotlight and the attention that being with Portia allows him. So, of course, he's going to feed her ego, right? But this is not really going to help her in the long run, and this is not going to help the relationship with her family, right? And then, of course, once, if they do, Simon and Portia gets married, then, I feel like it's somewhat of an act that he's going to drop. And unfortunately, things were said about him and how he, Fallon said that he was emotionally abusive, allegedly. Well, that's what she said, right? And listen, I'm gonna believe that because it's not just Fallon. His other ex-wife, I think another ex-wife spoke out about him. So this is a pattern that he has. Hopefully, the 10,000 hours of therapy has curbed that within him. But even when he speaks about it, he's like, "I was a rescuer," and I definitely know that is a thing. That is a thing, but I hope he doesn't see it as like I hope he doesn't see it as in he was the victim kind of thing, because there are, with the rescuers, there is a shadow side to being a rescuer, and I hope that he has also explored the shadow side, not just the light side where he gets to be the hero and the good guy and the victim, and it's the other women that are taking advantage of him and putting him in bad situations. I really hope he looked at the shadow side of being the hero, of being the rescuer, right? I hope he, kind of acknowledges that that is a form of control, right? So I hope that the relationship between Portia and him is healthy. I really do. I hope that he doesn't switch up once he's married and everything. And yeah, and I hope Portia is watching the show and, reflecting on her own behavior, right? But we'll see, or not, depending if we get a second season or not. So, yeah. So, moving on, we get this final scene with Dennis and Portia. And Dennis and Portia, I mean, they are a reflection of each other, really. They are each other's mirror. And I'm not rooting for any side. I'm not feeling sorry for any one of them. None of them are a victim to me. None of them are a hero. None of them are really the villain in this situation. It's very tit for tat kind of energy, right? So, I guess Dennis asked her about her engagement. How's your engagement going? Which is it is sort of a weird question. I guess, I mean, maybe more so if he asked, so have you been planning the wedding? Right? Because, oh, yes, the divorce is final between Simon and Fallon. So they're celebrating. Now they can get married and plan that, Woohoo for them. Congratulations, I guess. I don't know. Right? But both parties have moved on. So it is what it is on that one. Right? And so Dennis is like, yeah, how's your engagement going? And she's like, it's fine. I don't know. It's just like, it's very weird. It's a weird, awkward energy between them, right? And I guess he asked her, so are you moving? And she says, yeah, we're moving closer to the city. Now, if you watched Real Housewives of Atlanta, you would know that a major contention between Porsha and Dennis was the fact that Dennis was mainly in the city and Porsha was far out in the suburbs, whatever. I'm not from Atlanta, so I'm not too familiar with the geography, right? But obviously, I can imagine that, Porsha wasn't living too close to Atlanta, and that's where Dennis was based, right? And Dennis didn't want to move into her home, right? And she didn't want to leave her home to move with Dennis, right? And yeah, that there was conflict. So I could tell that Dennis did feel some type of way that Portia is willing to kind of move out of her home with Simon close to the city, but she wasn't really willing to do that for him, right? And yeah, since that was probably one of the things that they fought about a lot and created a lot of tension, you could tell he definitely felt a lot of way in that moment, when his oh, interesting. Really? Okay. He wasn't too happy about that. And she kind of had, Portia plays dumb a lot. She kind of said it casually as if it was nothing, but she knew what she was saying. She did. As to why Portia is willing to move with Simon and is not willing to move with Dennis, at the end of the day, I don't know why. Maybe because allegedly, okay, Simon has more money than Dennis, even though Dennis does well for himself, right? Simon allegedly does a lot better, right? And Simon is older, so maybe Simon, I don't know, Simon gives off more of that kind of traditional marriage. Wait, tradition. Let me take that back. Let me take that back. That's nonsense, right? But I guess Simon kind of gives off more of that energy, like, yeah, I'm not moving into your home, and that's that, right? So Portia kind of knows, okay, fine, right? And since Simon does have more money than Portia, I think she's more willing to maybe submit to that. Where with Dennis, I don't know, maybe because Dennis does well for himself, but I think maybe at that time Portia did a bit better. And plus, I guess with Dennis's reputation as a player and everything, I guess Portia just never really felt secure with the relationship with Dennis, right? Because, I mean, he's a playboy and da 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 da. So is Simon, really and truly. But for some reason, I guess Portia feels more secure in her relationship with Simon than she did with Dennis. That's why she's willing to move out of her home and everything and move into a new home with him. It is what it is, right? And so yeah, they're talking about that, and I don't know, they started talking about Pilar and her schooling, and I guess Portia was looking for schools and didn't consult Dennis on that, and then it started to turn into a custody agreement, and kind of like, okay, Dennis was like, well, we're gonna go to court and we're gonna iron this out, because the way you're moving, the way you're acting, you're not treating me as Pilar's father. You're kind of, doing your own thing and not consulting me, right? And then eventually the conversation starts to break down, and Portia says, well, let's just be real. You're not really involved that much, and you don't really send Pilar any money or anything. You don't really support her. I do everything, right? And Portia is not known to be honest, right? She's not the most reliable narrator, okay? Portia is, I don't want to call her a liar, but fill in the silence, okay? Fill in the silence, right? So, but the thing is that I'm going to believe Portia, right? Because Dennis confirmed it. Like, well, you and I both have Plus, you have your husband or your fiance. He said something of that nature, right? So it's basically saying, well, you have money, you have all this, plus you have your fiance, so you don't need anything from me, right? You don't need any sort of extra income or extra this. So, I don't know to what extent. Yes, Pilar is probably not wanting for anything, right? Porsha has enough money 10 times over. Well, I mean, maybe 2 times over. Okay, Porsha has enough money 2 times over, right? But still, I mean, you're Pilar's father, so you should be not only contributing financially, but emotionally, spiritually, everything. Like, you should be doing what you can. And I guess in this situation, listen, I mean, ideally, you wouldn't want to go to court. You would hope that two adults could iron things out and come to an agreement. But with situations like this, especially when the tension is high between both parents, maybe that's just what has to happen. They have to go to court to have a third party, right? Iron everything out and like have something ironclad on paper, right? So nobody can kind of backtrack, right? No one can, like, because they could agree, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then last minute one person can back out, one person can change their mind, da 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 da. But if it's back to the court, if it's backed by the court, then everybody has to follow, what the agreement says. So I guess that's needed. Not only it's needed to protect both parents and to protect the child. You know what I mean? And yeah, it sucks, but at the end of the day, thankfully, both Porsha and Dennis have the coins to go to court, you know what I mean, and figure this out. So I think it's a good idea. I really do, because I feel like both are immature at this point. I don't think they have that type of relationship. Maybe later on, but as of right now, they don't. Because their breakup is pretty fresh and it's pretty clear they're not over it. The both of them. The both of them are not over it. You know what I mean? I do feel like with Dennis, I think Dennis is being a little bit petty, right? And maybe he's using Pilar to kind of create problems, maybe because he's a bit upset about Porsha and Simon, you know? And I think Portia's not over Dennis either. So they can't handle it on their own at this point, right? Um I'll give Porsha a little bit of props or a little bit of grace, because in her confessionals by the end of the episode, she kind of gave the advice like, listen, you have to figure out your co-parenting situation before you start to bring other parties, into it, because then it becomes Porsha Families Matters, aka a mess, right? And at least she recognizes that. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't necessarily change anything, but she's a bit aware. I mean, ideally, yeah, that's what you would do. This whole situation kind of reminds me of Kim and Kanye. I don't know if you heard over the weekend with Kanye about their daughter Chicago. Kim was throwing a birthday party for her, and Kanye was upset because he wasn't invited, right? Which sparked this sort of debate where if you break up with somebody and you have a child, and you're throwing a party for your child, do you have to invite your ex to the party because they are the father or the mother or whatever? Or do they throw their own separate party and that child essentially has two birthday parties, right? Listen, like I said, in an ideal situation, everybody would get along, right? That you would have one party for the child, everybody would show up, right? But that's not realistic. That's not going to happen all the time. Maybe some of the time for certain things, right? Like, for example, for the graduation, you can't have two graduations. There's only one graduation. So both parents are going to have to be there. But stuff for like birthdays, you can have 2 birthday parties, right? You know, Christmas, I mean, you can have 2 Christmases, but technically you can't have 2 Christmases. So that's going to be an issue, where it's like, okay, one person's going to have Christmas Eve, one person's going to have Christmas. Like, it sucks. It does, but it is what it is. I think the child will survive as long as both parents are there for them. You know what I mean? But I think that especially when you just break up, and, you know, thinking of Kim and Kanye, same thing. They both moved on pretty fast. You know, they both have their relationships. Kanye kind of still is pining for Kim, even though he has a girlfriend. So it's like, why are you mad? I don't get it. You know what I mean? Same thing with Dennis and Porsha. I just think that, I guess, they need space. They need space to get over it. They need space to get over the breakup. So maybe they need to just, you know, slow down and then naturally get to that place where they can become family. It is kind of sad when Porsha was like, "You're Pilar's family. You're not mine." Right? I mean, I thought that you could be like my brother. You know, even though we just broke up a month ago, I thought that you could be my brother. Like, Porsha. But yeah, I mean, I get it, right? That's how you would want it to be. But I guess they just need time to heal. And, you know, maybe at this point they're not going to be family. But hopefully, maybe 5 years down the road, they will be family. You know what I mean? But I guess it can't be artificial. It has to be authentic. And yeah, it's pretty sad. It ended on a sad note. It really did. You know, it would have been great if the last scene would be Porsha apologizing to Dennis, Dennis apologizing to Porsha, and them coming together to be like, okay, we're going to do what's best for Pilar. It would have been amazing, amazing to end the season that way. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So overall, this season of Porsha Family Matters, it was good. It was good in a sad way. I mean, there was definitely lots to talk about in a sad way. You know, these are real people, so I don't want to be entertained by their mess and their drama, but I was, you know. Would I watch a second season of this? Hell yeah, I would watch a second season of this. Because I definitely want to see that wedding. You know, I want to see the wedding special. I believe Porsha said that she wants to have 3 weddings. So that's a whole damn season right there, right? I would like to see, you know, Simon's side of the family, you know, get to see more of Porsha and Simon interacting with each other and planning the wedding. There's definitely material there for a second season. There is. I will watch it. I'm not going to lie. Now, I don't know if you guys heard of Lipstick Alley. It's kind of... What is Lipstick Alley? It's kind of like Reddit, you know, where, you know, people come together, they talk about different topics, celebrities, personal stuff, whatever, right? And there is a forum dedicated to the Real Housewives. And someone posted, right? I'm going to give them credit. And this was very, very interesting. And I actually never really thought about this. They made a great point about maybe the reason why Porsha, quote unquote, quit Real Housewives of Atlanta and the Clubhouse thing. Did she quit? Or she's still part of Clubhouse or whatever that show is called? I think, was it that dish soap? Okay, maybe that's irrelevant. But the reason why she left Real Housewives of Atlanta was because she was forced to leave Real Housewives of Atlanta because she got into a fight, aka last week's episode, right? She yet again got into a physical altercation, right? And I spoke on last week, right, with the whole fight. It was a big mess, right? And she was throwing stuff. And when they showed the flashback, right, there was, I think there was a producer or somebody in front of Porsha holding her back, right? But Porsha was trying to, like, you know, throw fists at Dennis. But if you can see, she kind of hit the person that was holding her back from Dennis, who could have been a producer, right? And it reminds me of Nene. When when they were going into her closet, when she was like, don't go into my closet, which, side note, obviously, you mean, I don't agree with attacking the crew, but if someone says, do not go into my closet, and you're on their property and they say, do not go into this room, and you're going into the room, I think that Nene kind of had her right to like physically hold them back from the cameras. Because like, if your closet is a mess, or it's not the way you want it to be looking, and someone is bringing the cameras in there and going into a space you you did not give them permission, like, you have all that right to be like, no, and grab them, right? So yeah, Nene grabbed the cameraman, ripped his shirt, allegedly, I guess, knocked out the cameraman's tooth, right? That whole mess. And, well, did she come back the next season? Yeah, she did come back the next season, but there was the whole thing of like, she got suspended allegedly and everything, and what the consequences of that would be. So I wonder, if Porsha is like trying to punch Dennis and is punching the producer, right? Porsha was also throwing glass and bottles, that could have hit somebody, right? Hit somebody in the crew, and then allegedly she's grabbing the boom mic and, she may have damaged it, right? And yeah, I can totally understand. I could totally see there being consequences of her, putting the crew in physical danger, right? And kind of not necessarily attacking them directly, but because of her actions, them getting hurt, indirectly by her, and Bravo not and the production company not being so too happy about that, right? So as a consequence, they're like, yo, you need to go. This is not your first fight. You've got into several fights on this show, and we're done with you, right? But because, Porsha is a fan favorite. I mean, well, she was at the time. Right? And, out of respect for Porsha, because Porsha has been on the show for a long time, and I do think, there are people on Bravo that do like Porsha. So out of respect for her, they gave her the option to like voluntarily kind of be like, I'm done. It's been a great run, to kind of have her save face, because in general, Bravo does like to do that. If they don't renew someone's contract, they don't kind of release a press release saying, well, we fired this person, they leave it up to that person. And, usually that person can be like, well, it wasn't a good fit for me anymore, right? Even though they didn't ask you back, or they offered you a deal that was just so embarrassing, right? You're getting $1 million and they are offering you $5, so you're like, yeah, I'm gonna step away now. You know what I mean? So yeah, this person's theory on Lipstick Alley, which is very interesting, that yeah, that's kind of what happened. She got into another fight, she put the crew in danger. And so they're like, look, you gotta go. This is not a good look for us. We do not support this. We have to stand behind our crew. Yeah, you're gone. That's interesting. So if that is the case, then she's probably not going to get a second season then, right? If that's the situation. So it's kind of a one or done, and it's over. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. We're just going to have to see if it's going to be renewed or not. If it's not renewed for a second season, if it's kind of a one-off thing, I mean, one, it could have been that, that could have been the case from the beginning, that it was just going to be a one and done thing. Two, Porsha is genuinely done with the reality show thing. She's happy with Simon because he's allegedly rich, allegedly. Right? So she's happy to kind of ride it off into the sunset with him and move on to other opportunities. Or three, she was, Bravo kind of severed ties from her. So she's done. I guess we'll see. I mean, I do believe that there can be a second season. There definitely can be a second season with her, right? Because, I mean, if Kim Zolciak can get how many seasons, I definitely think Porsha could get another season, at least a second one. Like I said, I would watch it. But I'm gonna need Porsha to really watch. I need growth from Porsha. That's the only thing. Nobody is perfect, but I don't wanna see the second season and it's like Porsha's acting the same way, right? And there's no reflection, there's no nothing. I like at a certain point it's just gonna be like, yeah, no. Because she's just gonna become, I mean, a lot of people already don't like her, but she's just gonna become so unlikable. And if you are the main protagonist, if this is your show, we have to be rooting for you, right? It's just getting to a point with Porsha where it's really, really hard to root for her. So we'll see. We'll see how everything goes down. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of this season. Would you watch a second season? What do you think about the theory from Lipstick Alley where Bravo let her go because yet again she got into another fight, and that's why she's not going to be on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Anyways, that's everything, guys. See ya!